So, over the last couple of days, I've heard everybody's questions about the NBA All-Star Game. That's what I'm going to start this video with. Now, of course, first, congratulations to Damian Lillard for winning the All-Star Game MVP and becoming a back-to-back three-point champion. I've said it before and I'll say it again. Damian Lillard is one of the greatest shooters, greatest point guards, and greatest players to ever play our game. So, special shout out to him. Now, we saw a combined 397 points scored in the All-Star Game, with one team scoring 211 points. And you would think that people would love a high scoring, energetic, and very, very, very almost free game. There was no defense played, like zero. I mean, how much defense do you expect to be played? It's 211 points scored. There was no defense played, and you hear a lot of people. Usually, we like offense. Usually, like, oh my God, offense is amazing. We like to see the lobs. We want to see the deep threes. Usually, there is a positive reaction to that, but people hated it, and the issue is that the All-Star Game is no longer competitive. And what I hear everybody saying is, Micah, the game's no longer competitive. What in the world should we do? I mean, it's like players don't even care about it anymore. And in some ways that is right, because in the earlier 2000s, in like 2003, 2004, maybe even in the 90s, people played the All-Star Game like it was a regular NBA game. And to me, 200 points in the All-Star Game is what makes it special. I mean, it's the whole point is for it to not be a regular NBA game. The whole point of it is to have the best players going one-on-one against each other. That's the point of it. But apparently not everybody thinks so. Apparently I'm on an island with very, very few people. And a lot of people, once again, want to ask me, what is going to make the All-Star Game more competitive? How do we get players more involved? How do we get players to care about it more? Because back in the 90s, back in the 2000s, players actually played defense. It was actually somewhat of a challenge to score in the All-Star Game. There weren't 30, 40, 53s being constantly chucked up every 2 minutes, and we have to watch Damian Lillard shoot wide open threes like he's at a shooting round. We haven't seen that in the 2000s. Why is it happening now? For one, the game has definitely changed, but for two, the players' mentalities have changed, right? Players, thanks to people like LeBron, Michael Jordan, and Kobe, players are now more aware of the business of basketball than they've ever been. And while people like to say that the NBA, it's all about basketball, just play the game, just enjoy the game, while people like to say that, the NBA is not just that. The NBA is a corporation. The NBA is a business. The NBA is literally a $30 billion company. That's what the league is, which means that it's going to be hard to get players to care if they don't feel like they're being fairly compensated. On to my solution. Micah, how do I get players to care about the All-Star Game? Compensate them. Make it worth something. Give the players a couple hundred thousand for winning the All-Star Game, or a couple million for winning the All-Star Game. I think that'll make it a little bit of a better product, because now players can care about it. And I don't mean just for charities. I mean for them. Give the players an award for winning the game. Maybe that makes the fourth quarter a little bit more competitive. Maybe that makes players more cognizant of what's going on. Maybe that makes more players say, well, I want that $1 million. Why don't I play defense on Luka Doncic? Why don't I play defense on Damian Lillard? Why don't I defend Stephen Curry and not just let him take a wide open three from half court? That's what I think. Compensate the players. It's not like the NBA can't do it. They have $30 billion. The NBA can definitely afford to compensate 28 players on an all-star team. They can definitely afford to compensate those players for winning another basketball game that they technically don't even have to play in. A player can choose to not play the all-star game. A player can be injured. This is a choice, NBA. This is a choice, fans. Fans need to stop looking at these players like they're just here for their entertainment. No, these players are doing their jobs. These players are actively working overtime. Their contracts say that they need to play 82 games. Those 82 games, that's all that's in their contract. They play during the season. If they don't play a game during the season, that's when their pay gets cut. The All-Star Game is literally a bonus, and that's why I think players should have a bonus for playing in the All-Star Game. And a lot of you are going to be like, well, that's not going to work. Players are just going to waste even more time. We'll just be paying them for nothing. Well, I present to you the in-season tournament, which admittedly at the beginning I thought was a complete, and I mean complete and utter waste of time. I thought it was going to be bad, but it ended up being a really good product. Why? Because $500,000 was awarded to the winning players on each team. or on the team. The Lakers won. All those players got 500K. I don't know if I said 500 million before. I'm sorry, but 500K. They got 500K. $500,000 went to the winning players. What's wrong with that? It was a great product. Tournaments in soccer overseas, they compensate and reward players for winning those tournaments. The Champions League, they compensate those players. My point is, if you want players to care about what they're doing, you need to compensate them. They're aware of the business. They know that they don't have to do these things. So why in the world would they give effort if they're essentially just paying for free? Or playing for free, excuse me. Why would they give all that effort? They wouldn't. They wouldn't. They wouldn't. Now, on to my next little excursion, the dunk contest. I will just straight up say it. The dunk contest sucks. It is terrible. And Jaylen Brown, being really the one star in a really long time to ever try and participate, the one all-star at least, he stunk it up horribly. He stunk it up badly. Like, this man covered his eyes after he was done with the dunk. After he was done with the dunk. He dunked the ball and then thought covering his eyes would make it look cool. No, bro, we see through those tricks, all right? You looked at the rim and jumped over a 5'3" sitting in a chair Kai Cenat, bro. It was, I saw the idea, but it wasn't impressive. Now, it's so bad that G League players are being counted on to save the contest. G Leaguers. Back-to-back champion Mac McClung, a G Leaguer. G Leaguers have to save the dunk contest. That's how bad it has gotten. That's how bad it is now. Right? So again, I know everyone's going to ask me, Michael, how in the world can we solve this? Well, the same as the All-Star game. Compensate players. Give players some money for participating in these things that they don't have to participate in. I'm pretty sure a lot of players would jump at the opportunity at an extra $1,000,000 or a couple $100,000 at the dunk contest, right? There are players who will jump on that opportunity. Maybe then you'll get star players back in. And I know what everyone's going to say. Well, back then we didn't have to do that. Yeah, back then players were not as aware of the business of the game as they are now. They weren't as aware. They weren't aware about the. They weren't aware of the amount of stress you're putting your body to, the amount of physical hardship you're asking your body to endure, being in dunk contests, being in all-star games, jumping up and down constantly for a job every single day for 82 games a season. They weren't aware of that. Now players are aware of that. Another thing, I think you have to make the dunk contest, I think you need to give it like a name trophy, right? You know, Michael Jordan, Bill Russell, Finals MVP. Probably call it the Dr. J Trophy, right? Since Michael Jordan already has one. The Vince Carter Trophy, since Michael Jordan already has one. Or maybe if you don't like Dr. J being on the trophy. I know Dr. J, he was the guy he was the first guy to jump from the free throw line. So personally, I think he should have the trophy named after him. If there was a dunk contest trophy. Again, you got to make these things worth something, bro. All right, if the dunk contest trophy looks disgusting, weird, and it has a big old Sprite logo on it or whatever, nobody's going to want that. Like, I'm just going to say it straight up. Nobody wants that. But if it has Dr. J jumping from the free throw line, gliding through on the trophy, players will probably think that's pretty cool to have in their arsenal, right? But either way, the dunk contest needs fixing very badly. I don't sell myself as a marketing or business or basketball absolute expert, but what I do sell myself as is a person with a brain. And as a person with a brain, I would like to get paid for what I do if I'm putting my body through so much physical hardship, and I think the players feel the exact same way, which is why I think you should pay them for these events and give these events a lot more meaning than they have already. Now, a fun topic of the video, Sabrina versus Steph Curry. This was easily the best event of the All-Star weekend. Now, what did we see from this contest? We saw that there is, in fact, not that huge of a difference between the best woman shooter and the best male shooter in their respective leagues. As Sabrina said, no matter if you're a boy or a girl, if you can shoot, you can shoot. Now, of course, Curry won, scoring 29 points, but Sabrina, she had 26, which would have tied Damian Lillard and brought him into basically a shootout for the three-point championship in a hypothetical situation. So That was pretty interesting, and I think you need to find a way to get more WNBA players involved in All-Star Weekend. It's All-Star Weekend, bro. Maybe have players going a 1v1, maybe a 2v2 with the WNBA player and an NBA player. Maybe there are tournaments of teams mixed up with NBA players and Euro players with WNBA players, or just maybe just celebrities that want to play basketball. I really, really, really think that the WNBA has amazing potential, especially with All-Star Weekend, man. Especially, I wish that the NBA and WNBA season could somehow go on at the same time, but of course, that's just not happening right now. I don't know why it doesn't. I think that would actually be a fairly decent idea. But I think you need to get WNBA players more involved. Put the WNBA players with the big boys in the shooting contest, right? I mean, Sabrina showed you these girls can shoot. These girls can keep up, at least when it comes to that element of the game. I think you should let them participate with some of the guys. See where they line up. See where they end up. Who knows? Let's call it the three-point contest for everybody, right? Not just the NBA three-point contest, just the three-point contest, right? I think that should really, really, really be an event. I would really, really, really enjoy the excitement seeing WNBA players compete with NBA players in the shooting event. Now, I know it's a small sample size, and I'm also hearing that people want Steph and Sabrina versus Dame and Caitlin Clark in a three-point contest. I think it's very interesting. I think we could possibly see it in the future. Just another way for the NBA to spice up All-Star Weekend, and it's much needed, in my opinion. They need to spice it up, because All-Star Weekend has been It's been boo-boo over the last couple of years. I'll just be honest. We ain't had a good All-Star Weekend since the All-Star game was in my hometown of Atlanta. Shout out Atlanta, Georgia, by the way. Now, of course, going into my last topic of the video, it is Luka Doncic flying under the MVP radar. Luka is becoming he's becoming numbers-wise he's like a LeBron and James Harden hybrid, right? LeBron in the way that he can just give you that raw production, and James Harden in the way that he scores in high volumes. This man, Luka Doncic, averages 34, 9, and 9. Say that to yourself. If Giannis Antetokounmpo, if any other player of all time came out and averaged 34, 9, and 9, you guys would be all over this man. You would be eating it up. Like you would not be able to stop hearing about him. Luka Doncic is by far the league's MVP right now. I'm just going to go ahead and say, and the Mavs are also on a little streak. You know, they've had a nice little winning ways going with Kyrie Irving coming back, who honestly is the best second option in the league, in my opinion. He should have never, ever left Cleveland, first of all. We can just say that. He should have never left Cleveland. But he did. He's in Dallas. I think he likes Dallas, and Dallas is doing really, really good. Now, they also got some much-needed size and depth at the deadline, which just makes his team even more insane. I know that the last person to win the MVP and not be like a top 3 seed was probably Russell Westbrook in 2017 when he averaged that crazy 30-point triple-double. That was insane. That was back when Russ was one of my favorite players, man. I loved Russ. I still love Russell Westbrook. So shout out to you, Russell Westbrook. If you somehow watch this video, I really, 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 really love your game, dude. I was like a Russell Westbrook fanatic. Him and Giannis were those were my two guys back when Russ was averaging those triple doubles. But nonetheless, getting back to it, I think that you could see a similar situation go down with Luka this season. I think if the Mavericks finish within the top 6 to 5, maybe even 4 seeds, I think if the Mavericks have a strong finish to the regular season, Luka is no doubt going to win the MVP. No doubt in my mind. 34, 9, and 9. Joel Embiid was averaging 35 and 10 and maybe 35, 10 and 5, and you guys were screaming unanimous MVP. I need to see that same energy with Luka Doncic when him and his Dallas Mavericks finish near the top or within the top 4 to 5 of the Western Conference. I need to see that same energy, man. Because what Luka's doing is straight up ridiculous. He is the only player with LeBron James under the age of 25 years old to have 10,000 points, 3,000 rebounds, and 3,000 assists. At least those numbers, other than LeBron James. Just think about that for a second. And we already know the crazy records that LeBron James holds. He is the only player in history other than LeBron to have those numbers before the age of 25. That is insanity to me. And LeBron entered the league at 18, 19 years old. Luka Doncic was 20, 21 years old when he came into the NBA. So just look at the amount of production this guy is having on a nightly basis, the amount of things that he's doing on a nightly basis, how much his team asks of him on a nightly basis. I think it is something that has not been replicated in NBA history, and Luka Doncic, in my opinion, is running away with the MVP award. I love Joker. I love Giannis. I even love Joel Embiid. But what Luka's doing this year cannot go unnoticed, and it cannot go unrewarded. He is, without a doubt, the best point guard in the league right now. He is, without a doubt, a top 3 player, top 3 to 5 player on the planet right now. I have no doubt that this guy is going to win the MVP of the NBA. But, of course, that's going to end this video. Thank you for watching. Make sure to like, subscribe, turn on the notification bell. Guys, help me out a little bit. Of course, I'm going to try and get more videos out. Lots of TikToks going out, so check that out. All those links are in the description. But, of course, before I end this video, wish you nothing but the best. Stay love, stay blessed. I'm going to end it. Thank you for watching.